Hello there, Anna. This is my sister. She is the second in the family. I mean, the second of four brothers. I'm the oldest, and you're 2 years younger than I am, right?
Yes, that's it.
Yes,
2 years.
yes. So, hello from Wisconsin, Anna. You are speaking to us from Murcia. And so, before
Yeah.
I begin asking you a few questions, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Well, you're the oldest, but I'm the prettiest. You can tell.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Right now I'm 41 years old, and I live in Murcia, as Miguel said. It's a urban town. It's located in the southeast of Spain. It's right by the Mediterranean Sea. Excellent. It's only a few kilometers away. I am happily married. This year we're going to be married for 17 years, and you married us, remember?
Yeah, I remember. I still remember. One of
Yeah.
my first weddings.
You did a good job.
Oh,
We,
thank you.
we're happily married. Yeah. I am a teacher, and I have five beautiful kids. The oldest one is 14 years old, and the youngest one is 6 years old, Francisco. So
Okay,
basically,
great.
that's it.
Well, and why don't you tell my audience a little bit about where you live? Because I don't think people here are used to the living in an urban city as Murcia. Murcia has, for everyone who's listening to us, it has around half a million. The population is around half a million, and people who live in Murcia, they don't live in single homes like here in Sauk City or even in Madison. Most people live in flats, in apartments. Most of the buildings in Murcia are several stories high, either 10 or 8 or 12-story high. I mean, they're not like Chicago and New York City. They're not that tall, but still, they're like 8 or 10 stories high. And you live in an apartment, right? You live in a flat, and you don't
Mhm.
have a backyard. You have to go. Well, I don't think your building has an elevator, right? I mean,
No elevator. Well, life is very different from what we when we lived in the U.S. and what I know from living there. You said that we live in an apartment. Actually, if for Spain, we live in a big house. And big house, just so you get an idea, it's not 90 square meter, which is 970 square feet.
mhm.
It only has like four tiny rooms, and when I say tiny, I mean tiny. A small living room and a kitchen. No, we don't have a backyard. We live in a second-story flat building with no elevator. But for your standards, for Spanish standards, our house is big. And this is important. So just so you can get an idea of how we're living in confinement here, because our children cannot get out. And when we say that we cannot go out, it's that they don't have any space for them to get, sunshine or sun because we are locked inside. So really, it's very different. And living in the cities also, so you can get an idea. Everyone here walks everywhere. My high school is only like 2 minute walk from my house, and I have a driver's license, but I don't drive because I don't need to. When we need to go to our second residence in the weekends, my husband drives, so we only have one car. But during the week, I don't drive. And when I wanted to go shopping, I go to the shops here, that's by my neighborhood. So, and when want to go to a park, it's only like 100 meters away. So it's just everything we do is by walking. And because of that, the pandemic here is hit hard because we are a lot of people in very small rooms, and it's bad. The situation here in Spain is very bad. So,
And there are no exceptions. I mean, you said that you cannot go outside for anything. I mean, I suppose that you can go shopping, even just to get groceries. And how many times can you go out? You mentioned a high school, so you teach
mhm.
in a high school, right? You're a
Yes,
teacher there. And so, I
yes,
mean, right now you cannot go to the high
no,
school. So, can you tell
no.
us a little bit about that? I mean, are there any exceptions to going outside or not?
Okay, I don't know how the confinements in the US, but here in Spain is very radical. And when I say radical, is that we have the police outside and the military. It's
Oh,
on the
wow.
streets. And they're controlling our movements. When by that is that you get stopped. Even either way, if you go walking or if you go by car, you're going to get stopped. And if you get stopped, they are going to ask you for a safe passage. What that means, if you go to work, for example, only people who can go to work is what they call essential works, which is on shops for food, to get medicine, hospitals, and basically that's it. So if you're going outside and you don't have a safe passage for work, you have to prove that you were going shopping. Okay, shopping means that you can only go once a week. And when I say shopping, it's like doing a big, weekly shop. If the policeman catches you 2 or 3 times a week going shopping, they're probably going to put you a fine. One fine, it's a big one. Second fine, it's a big one. The third fine, you're going to be prison. So really, confinement here is very radical. And yes, well, that's what we have. Imagine the situation. I haven't gone outside for 3 weeks. My husband is the one who goes shopping. Oh, this is my son, Sam. Hi. Hello.
Hello.
So he's the one who goes outdoors. And when he goes outdoors, he has to wear a mask and, he has to wear gloves, hygienic gloves. And, well, it's bad. So the situation is not comfortable here. Mm-hmm.
So when you go shopping, do you have to call in advance? Do you have to get a ticket? Do you have to be in line? I mean, are there any restrictions also with respect to shopping?
Okay, there's a limit to how many people can go in a shop. Depends on how big the shop is. Okay, it's not the same as you go to a Walmart and you go to a small, grocery shop in your neighborhood. But what you have outside a security guard, and he counts the people who are in. So if you go in an hours that there are many people, you can actually wait in line for 2 or 3 hours before you get in to buy shopping. Wow. So when my husband goes shopping, I don't know if he's gonna come back for an hour or for 5 hours. You just don't know. And if you go early in, you're gonna learn. If you go late at night, you're not gonna find anything in the supermarket. So. Yes, but I think we're getting used to what people we're basically, because we live in buildings, what people are doing is taking turns as to whether today I buy you a grocery, you buy mine, and just leave it on the floor, on the doors, because we can't have any contact. And that's what we're doing. Wow. Also, well, you can go out, for example, for things you can do. What if you have older parents and you don't want them to go outside? You can go visit them. But if the police stops you, they're going to ask you to prove where your parents live, and you have to prove that you went shopping for them. So basically, what we have is a situation where you can't control, and you don't know if what you're doing you can do it or you're not, and it's uncomfortable. So
living in an urban city such as Murcia, and in which you have the heavily police presence everywhere, you have probably 1 or 2 or 3 neighborhood cops. They can easily keep track of how many times you've gone outside, right? And that's what they do.
Yes, they do. And actually, they ask what your route was, and they want to see if it's or if you go to a supermarket that is farther away than your house, and you have one near your house, then they're going to fine you because you went too far. You have to go to the ones in your neighborhood. Whether you like them or not, that's what you have to go. And if you go to your second residence, that's a huge fine because you can't do that.
Wow.
People are trying to because we're like that, but they're going to give huge fines. It's like €3,000 fine.
It's almost like martial law because, here
it is.
in the United States, well, here in Wisconsin, there's the stay-home order, but it's not so restrictive. You can still go outside. Cops are not going to stop you there. And I haven't heard of anybody being fined. Most of the businesses are closed, but it doesn't feel that restrictive as it is right now in Spain. Like you say, you cannot even go outside. The kids cannot even go to the park, right?
The kids cannot go outside. And we had a huge controversy because dogs have more rights than kids. If you have a dog, you can take the dog out to go. So the dog, needs to do everything. But if you take a kid outside, they're going to fine you. So what basically is by Facebook and by Twitter, we're all complaining. And the government announced on Sunday that the kids could begin to go out on April 26th. That we were all excited. We were saying, finally we can take them out. And today, what they say actually is that you can take your kid out, but only one at a time, and to take them to the supermarket. You cannot take them for a walk. So can you imagine? I have to go to the supermarket with one of my kids, with my face mask, controlling that they don't touch anything. And I can do that if I want, but I cannot take them outside for a walk because I'm going to get fined.
Oh, wow. Yes. It would almost be better if you dress them up in a Halloween costume of a dog, and keep them on a short leash or something.
People are actually doing that. You have all on Twitter, people are dressing us as a unicorn and taking, there was one was very funny because when they took a toy, a dog toy, como se un peluche,
Yes, yeah, a teddy bear, like a teddy bear.
A teddy bear, yeah. One took a teddy bear with a leash, you know.
Maybe it works, hey?
Yeah.
Maybe the couple
The
have
police,
mercy on you. It's like
some do, but most don't, you know. It's like, okay, I understand that you're up to here and you need to go out. So, but well, we laugh, but really the situation is it's bad.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it hit Spain. It hit Spain very bad, and
right,
a lot of people. We have over 20,000 deaths in Spain, and that's huge.
right.
And so we do need to take it
Well,
seriously. But
it may not seem like that to many countries, but you have to keep in mind that Spain, I think it's right now, is the one of the countries with the highest number of deaths
yeah.
per million people. So it's and I think it has to do with the cities because the people live in these urban cities in which you have people so close to each other that the infection can spread from one person to another easily. So yes, but at the same time, like you said, it's very hard to see the restrictions and how even especially the most vulnerable, the elderly and the children, are suffering from this. I'm imagining that maybe perhaps a lot of people are trying to adopt animals and pets, so
yes,
then maybe they can go outside.
Yes, they actually do. I mean, it's funny because when the government announced on Sunday that the kids were going to, they could go out, we were thinking that they were going to be able to go for a walk. My neighbor put a note on my kids out. So it was very funny. It's like, please let me your kid for a while. I need the kid to go outside. So we're getting desperate because of this.
Well, but you're lucky. See, now since you have 5, then you can get you can go outside more than the ones who only have 1 or 2, I guess, or not at all.
That's what we said until now that they say that we can go only 1 and buy a supermarket. I can't go 5 times to the supermarket. I get fined.
Oh no! Wow. So they closed that loophole. Oh no.
Yeah, I know. So I was like, oh no, please. Well, and you think, Francisco. Francisco is my youngest one. He's 6-year-old, and he's so active. I mean, my house is going to go. It's wrecked. He goes up, jumps on the sofa, and jumps on the bed.
Oh, no.
He looks out the window. It's horrible. But,
and how's the environment? I mean, the people. How do you? I mean, what's the situation at home, but how do you feel? Are the people getting angry, upset, or desperate, or?
Yeah. I mean, the first day is like, yay, we have vacations. Second day is like, okay, we have vacations. Third day is like, we have vacations. Fourth day is like, I don't like this vacation. And then right now it's very funny because when you see people outside, I mean, you need to go out. So people are actually, you're not supposed to do it, but they are actually going on the street. And you see people going, making pictures on the phone and posting it on Twitter for the police. Right. And they're snitch, It's like the worst are your neighbors.
Well, I think they're just thinking, if I can't go out, you shouldn't be out either. So here, taking pictures and. Yeah. Yeah.
Yesterday there were 2 people, a couple, they were walking with their dogs together. And I felt so angry. It's like, I'm going to take a picture and say, that's not fair. So, I mean, it's like that. It's like, oh, brother. But yeah, we cannot even, we share buildings. We have up the terrace on the buildings, terrace. Is that the right word? But the police doesn't even allow us to go up the terrace if you share it with other neighborhoods. So actually you have people making pictures of people on the terraces. So the police are actually going to buildings and finding people. So that's tremendous. They're going inside the houses.
Oh, wow.
And the situation.
And how has this affected your faith as a family? I mean, you cannot go to church. I think the churches are closed, right? Are they closed or not?
Yes, they are. Yeah. Yes, they are. I mean, we have ambiguous. It's a situation because the government, by our constitutional rights, cannot close the churches. But what they did is something very smart. The churches are open and priests can say mass. But if they catch you going to church, you're going to get fined.
Right.
So basically.
Yeah, you can.
So, okay. Yeah. So that's what they say. So what we've done, well, actually, as I was telling and talking the other day, for us, this situation has been really graceful, and it's shocking to say, but really, when we talked about it, I can only find and thank God for it. Well, first of all, we have more time to be as a family close, and my husband and I, well, we're always in love. I mean, you did it right, and together 4 hours because we're both working at home. And I can tell you that he has, reconquered me, and I reconquered him again. And we've been talking and having conversations that we haven't talked in ages. With my children, I always miss the homeschooling. Here in Spain, it's not allowed. And I always, envied the US for it. Well, I'm homeschooling them, and that is wonderful. And then in my faith, well, we're going to mass every day at 9:30. I have to say that I have another brother-in-law who's also called Miguel. I don't know why. And he's a priest. So I put him on Google Meet, and we have mass every day. We have family mass at 9:30, which it's awesome to see. And then we have at 4 p.m., we have the rosary, and we pray as a family. And then at 8 p.m. here in Spain, it's a custom. It has become since March the 12th. Everybody goes out in the balconies and the windows and start clapping. We clap for the doctors and for everybody who's working for us. And it's really beautiful. But today, my husband talked to the kids, and he said that, explaining to them that we weren't going to do that anymore. And they, of course, they were shocked, like, why won't we clap for them? And he said, because we're going to pray, which is, it's more important and it's better and it's going to have more consequences on them than if we just clap. So we did it. We just a few, not even an hour ago, just 8 o'clock here. We, instead of going out, we prayed and we said, our Father and our Hail Mary for the kids. So we're actually, we found grace in this time, and it sounds like shocking, but for me, it's been a gift from God, and I'm going to defend it. My priorities are set back. I think if I am true to myself, before this pandemic, I was more interested in my job than in my family, and now I just saw that it's more important, my husband, my kids, my faith, all of this, than my job. And it's going to have serious consequences when we get out of this. My priorities have to be set back again. So really, it's, as we say, God, it finds, good in, and if you just have to look for it and trust God. My husband, he lost his work as a lawyer. He of course, with this, everything's closed. He practically doesn't have nothing to do all day as far as his work. But he's really, I find he's peaceful and trusting God and saying that, well, we're get out of this. He has a plan. God has a plan. Why must we be nervous? We're strong as a family. We have strong faith. So really, it's beautiful. For me, it sounds shocking, but I have to give thanks to God for this.
It does sound shocking, but but it's not. If you see things from the perspective of faith, of trusting in God, then everything makes sense. Because and this is something that I repeat to my parishioners many times since this all started. We have to learn to see the hand of God behind everything that happens to us, whether good or
Correct.
bad. Because even when we suffer evil, even when we have to suffer misfortunes, even when we have to go through difficult trials, God can take that evil and bring some good out of it. And this is exactly what we have to try and see behind this global pandemic. Not God inflicting evil on us, human beings, because God doesn't want us to suffer evil, but he allows evil to happen to us because he wants to bring some greater good out of it. And so that's what we have to. We have to keep our outlook of the life that we're living right now positive and hopeful, and not be gloomy or sad or depressed, or because we are not able to live life as we used to, or we're not able to have the things that we want to have, but instead try to see the blessings and the good things that have come from all this. And I mean, the examples that you gave are beautiful examples of how this can bring the family together, spouses together, children together, and with their parents. And just this is another opportunity, a new opportunity that God is giving all of us to like you said, to evaluate our priorities and to give importance to what's really important. So thank you for your insight. That's very, very meaningful. Yes.
Well, I would like to point out something. Maybe, I don't know in the US, but here in Spain, the government was going to approve euthanasia. How to
Euthanasia.
say it?
Euthanasia.
Euthanasia. Well, he was going to approve it in less than a month. It was going to be real shocking for us, but the law was actually going to pass. And you know what the pandemic has done here in Spain? I don't know if the US happened, but here is something that is going to, be very shocking, because what the elderly that lived in retirement homes, once one elderly got infected, the whole resident was shut down, and you could not take anybody else out. So if you had your parents in an elderly home and one of them got infected, you cannot go in, you cannot take your elder home. And what's even more shocking, the government told the residents that the doctors would not go in, and you could not take the elderly to the hospitals. So what people have died in dozens in the residents. And you know what that happens? And I think that God gave us the pandemic here in Spain to show the value of elderly and the value of life, because people are complaining that they couldn't say goodbye to their parents. They are shocked, and they're starting to value what it is like to have someone else decide your life, because the government did that, and their retirement homes became a rat hole for them. And and the elderly that lived at homes with their families, they have survived and they are well. And that's a huge lesson to learn. And that's why I think that the pandemic, we have to look at through God's eyes. And I think we have to start learning and to be, to be thoughtful and to rethink everything. And I think it's going to have positive things. I mean, I
Right.
think that it's.
Yeah, I was reading about that in the newspapers and from Spain, and how many elderly residents and how many nursing homes and assisted
Yes,
livings have the people have died there by hundreds,
yes, by hundreds.
and I think people and just the average citizen Spaniard has become more sensitive to
Correct.
the needs of the elderly, and especially those that are in nursing homes and assisted living facilities. And so, yes, I've read about that. Letters being sent to newspapers talking about their deceased mom or dad, and I think that it's good for a country to become more sensitive to the needs of those people, of the most vulnerable and the elderly that are
Mhm.
dying alone by themselves without their family, because
Correct.
the government has not allowed their children or grandchildren to visit them. So yes,
No.
like you said, I think we have to see an important lesson in all of that. Very good.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much for sharing some of those insights. I think that a lot of my audience are going to find it very interesting, and I think it is important for all of us to be aware that this is a global pandemic. This is affecting
Correct.
everyone, not just people in the United States or in South Korea or in the United States or in China, but everyone. And so we need to pray for each other. We need to pray for the world. We need to pray for our church. And but like you said, we have to keep a positive outlook and always see that God is behind this and that God will bring something good, something positive out of all this.
Correct. I agree with you. Not because you're my brother, but because you're right.
All right. Thank you very much, Anna. And it's been a pleasure to talk to you. And I hope that you and your family and your husband, you're all staying safe and healthy. And let's pray that all this will pass soon, and we'll be able to go back to life, not as we used to, but better, becoming having become more stronger and with a stronger faith than we used to.
Okay. Oh, my husband wants to tell you that before we leave that he will try to assist in one of your masses. Okay.
Oh yeah, that is actually a very good point. I want all my audience to realize that you and my nephews and my niece are attending the mass of somebody else, not my mass, which makes true what Jesus said, that no prophet is welcome in his homeland. So.
We have two problems. One is that my husband doesn't speak English, and two is the time changes.
Yeah. Excuses. Yeah.
But okay, we will.
I remember, the first time I live streamed my mass, I asked Mom. I said, "Mom, did you watch my mass?" And she goes, Oh, I forgot.
You know what? I can't hear you right now.
Right. So yeah, I'm used to it. I'm used to it.
Well, we will try. Okay. We'll try.
Okay. Sure.
But we will see.
Well, Anna, nice
Okay,
talking to you, and take care,
Thank you.
and God bless. Bye.
Okay. God bless you all too. Bye bye.